Here with the Idea Closet, we are working on another tutorial for our Cameo class that was taught at Heartfelt Creations, and in this tutorial we're going to work on our tags. So go ahead and open up your Silhouette Studio and a blank sheet or blank canvas. Now for the class I had 4 tags. We had the square tag, the rounded tag, the dog tag, and the circle tag. In this tutorial we're going to do the rounded tag. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about scale because I think that there was a few questions that we had. So go ahead and draw a rectangle. Doesn't matter what size. And then come over here and we're going to hit your scale button, which is this third one right here. Now the question was, when do we use the locked aspect ratio and when do we not? So what locked aspect ratio does is it lets us take a tag and make it bigger or smaller but keep the same proportions. So what we want to do is we don't want these proportions because that's not the size that we want. So we're going to make sure that it's not checked. And we're going to come up here and we're going to make the right proportions. And that would be 2.5 inches wide, so 2.5. We're going to tab to the height and we want it 4 inches. And we're going to hit apply. Now let's say that you really liked that and it was perfect, but you wanted to put it on something and you needed a 6-inch tag when it was all done. So what we would do is with this highlighted, we would come over here and we would click on the lock aspect ratio. And then we would say, okay, I know I need it 6 inches high. I want to keep the proportions. So I'm going to type 6 inches and hit apply. And what that does is it makes it bigger so you still have your 6 inches here, but it keeps this in proportion so that it's the same size. I hope that that makes sense. So if you want to keep something in proportion, you click lock aspect ratio. If you don't, if you're changing both the height and the width, you want to make sure that that is turned off. And that's how you use that button. Okay, so now we're going to come back over here, but we want it back at our 2.5 by 4 inches. So I'm just going to undo what I did. To undo, you can use this arrow button right here, which is undo, or the hotkey for it is Control Z, as in zebra. I use that one a lot. You'll probably use that one a lot. So just remember Control Z and it undoes what you've just done. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and make our rounded tag. So we're going to click off that and we're going to grab our circle tool and we need to make an oval. So I'm just going to drag the oval. Okay, and then we want to scale it. We're not going to hit lock aspect ratio because we want to set the scale. So we want this to be 2.5 inches because we want it the same width as our tag. We're going to hit tab and we want 1.5 inches, 1.5. So it's kind of a skinny oval. Hit apply. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move this over here, and I'm going to just kind of set it right on there so that the halfway points are kind of right in there. There we go. And I'm actually going to zoom in just a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. And oh, maybe I'm going to have to zoom out first. Okay, so now we're going to highlight both of those. We're going to come up here to our align tool and we're going to align that to center. And what that does is that's just making sure that that circle or that oval is right in the center of what we're doing, of our tag. Now with that all highlighted or selected, we're going to right click and we're going to weld. And there is your tag. So that is how you do the rounded tag. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the circle tag also. And it is really simple and goes really fast. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to grab a circle. And we want this circle to be 3.5 inches. So if you hold your shift key and then drag, it should make a perfect circle. And you don't have to make it quite perfect on 3.5, but we're going to try. Yeah. Okay, it's not quite perfect, so I'm going to go to my scale tool, and I want, it's not in proportion, So I want it to be, I'm going to do 3.5, tab, 3.5, hit apply. There we go, a perfect circle. Now we need to draw another circle, and I want this one to be a 1-inch circle. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a circle. I'm going to come over here, 1, tab, 1, apply, and we have a 1-inch circle. So now we're going to drag the smaller circle to the top of the bigger circle. And you just kind of have to eyeball this, decide how big. This is actually going to be the I don't know what you'd call it, the hingy part of the tag, I guess. So it depends on if you want your tag like that or like that. I put it in about a third of the way, and like I said, I'm just going to eyeball it. So then we're going to go ahead and select both of those. Going to come to our align tool, and we're going to align to center. And that just puts it in the middle there. Now the difference between this center and this center is this aligns it from center from here to here. This center, if I click on it, is going to put it in the middle. And we don't want that. So remember your Control Z. We're just going to bring it back up and have it there. Now while both of those are highlighted or selected, we're going to right click, weld, and there is our circle tag. Now we want to make the reinforcements. So we're going to grab another circle, lots of circles on this project, and we're going to draw a circle that's 0.6. So I'm holding my shift key, dragging, pretty close, not perfect, so we'll scale it because I like things to be as close as we can. 0.6, 0.6, apply. So there is our little circle. Now we want to make another circle, so we're going to paste or copy and paste in place. If you remember, the hot keys for that are to copy is Control C, and then we're going to paste in place, which is Control F. And once again, you get that darker line, so you know you've got two circles there. Now, while that one is still highlighted, we want to make that 1/4 of an inch. So this time, because it's the same and I want to keep it in proportion, I'm going to hit lock aspect ratio, and I'm going to do 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch, and hit apply. So there is our reinforcement. Now we're going to go ahead and highlight that, or select it, I'm sorry, and Control G, group it. So you can do your group button down here or the drop down, but Control G. Now we're going to come over here and put it in our tab, wherever we think we want it in our tab. And I'm going to actually move this one off to the side a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and select both of those, come up to our align tool, and then we want to align to the center again. And I did pretty good because it didn't move it, so it's just right there in the center. Go ahead and click off of it. Now what I want to do is I'm going to click on just the reinforcement, and this is how we're going to make the hole in the tag match the hole in the reinforcement. So we're going to click on the reinforcement, and we're going to hit Control U, which is ungroup. You could also come down here and do it, or you could right click and do your drop down menu. Control U is the ungroup. Now we're going to select just that middle circle, and we're going to copy it. We're not going to paste it yet. We're going to copy it. So we're going to hit Control C. It's not going to show up, and it's not supposed to yet. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and select our reinforcement and group it, which is what? Control G. And now we're going to move that reinforcement off the page. And now we're going to paste it in place. So we're going to hit Control F. And now you have your circle right in the middle of your tag. We're going to go ahead and select both of those, Control Group, and there is your tag, and there is the reinforcement that goes right on there. Now we want to do the same thing for this one, so we're going to just go ahead and move this over here. You can align it if you want to. Got to make sure you have, got to draw a big rectangle, make sure you get both of them. Go ahead and align to center. And we were pretty close again. It barely moved it. Click on the reinforcement. Ungroup, which is Control U. Click off of it. Go back and click on that smaller circle. Sometimes we start clicking too fast and you don't go through all the steps. So you need to click off and then go back in and click on or highlight, select that smaller circle. We're going to copy it, which is Control C. Okay? And then we're going to group that up again. And in order to do that without losing it, you're going to have to make this really big. And then we're just going to go ahead and see. That's what I'm saying. We're going to have to go ahead and select both of those. And we're still going to have to make it bigger so that you have lots of room to work with without moving that tag. And I'm still doing it. Anyway. If that continues to be a problem, what you can do is you can come up here to Preferences, Selection, and then select shapes touching the drag box. I don't leave that on there because it's kind of a pain, but now we can do that. Continue group. We're going to slide the reinforcement off. We're going to come back over here. We're going to hit Control F, copy and paste, paste in place, and then we want to actually go back to Preference. I hope you don't have to do this, but if you do, there it is. I'm going to go to Tool Selection and continue drawing. Selections. Select shape enclosed by drag box. And I'll explain this later. It's kind of tricky. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And then we're going to select our, we want to move our reinforcement way off there. What happens is when you touch that box, it's putting it in the group, and we don't want that. So Control G to group it. I'm going to go to Fit the Page. And then we have two tags. We have our rounded tag, we have our circle tag, and we have our reinforcement. And if you were going to cut both tags out and wanted a reinforcement for both of them, you could make that a copy by doing a couple of different things. Of course, you could come up to your replicate tool and duplicate it right. So now you have two of them. You could highlight it, copy, or Control C, and Control V, which gives you two of them. I'm going to Control Z again. Or you can drag it. You can do Control Alt click, Control Alt click and drag. So lots of different ways to make a duplicate item, and all of them are correct, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, there is 2 of the 4 tags. So go back and practice making the square tag or the rectangle tag and the dog tag, and bring those to class. Thanks for joining us.